What's up, boys and girls, and welcome back to another Black Desert Online guide. In today's video, I'm going to be going over some of the most important and beneficial things to do in Black Desert Online if you're a returning player. I've recently returned to the game myself, and after 1 month of playing, I decided it would be a great idea to create a video to show you all some of the awesome new things that you can do, so let's get right into it. Black Desert is massive in the sense that the game itself is spread across many zones, and also there is so much to do. So much so that when you first log in again, you may find things incredibly overwhelming and not know where to start. So hopefully, giving you a quick overview of each of these things will help give you some direction and achievable targets. I'll be providing links for the full guides in the video description in case you need some more details on each of the suggestions that I'm about to give. First up, we have the main story questline for Magnus, which provides some insane benefits. From following this questline through to completion, you will unlock a fast travel mechanism to each territory for a small fee of silver. Global storage, meaning that you can access any storage in any territory from any bank, which in my opinion is the best quality of life change to ever hit this game. And finally, you even get a piece of free pen boss armor gear. To start the questline, you just need to speak to your Black Spirit, and you should see a quest starting with brackets the Magnus. Each main storyline quest will have its relevant quest chain name at the start of the quest to make it easy to see. If you can't see the quest, then it's likely that you need to complete some form of prerequisite quest, which can be found by hovering over the quest via going through O and then main quests. Follow this questline to reach Abyss 1, where you'll begin completing a lot of puzzle-based quests. This took me around 5 hours to complete, and I strongly recommend following a guide for this. I personally used the Black Desert Foundry guide, but there's also video guides if you prefer. Once you complete all of the quests, you'll have unlocked all the new things I mentioned earlier, and you'll have a box where you can choose your desired piece of pen boss gear. I personally chose Red Nose armor, as it's slightly cheaper to get to Caphra level 10, which you need for the new Fallen God armor. Next up is the newest piece of content at the time of making this video, Land of the Morning Light. This is a new area that is located the other side of the ocean from mainland BDO. To get here quickly, you can use the fast travel function from the Magnus questline that you will have just completed. To unlock the new zone, you'll need to simply just begin a questline from your Black Spirit, which will start with LOML in brackets. If you can't see this quest, then check in your quest menu if you're missing a prerequisite for it. Once you're in the Land of the Morning Light, you'll need to follow through the quest chain across the zone and begin unlocking the new boss content called the Black Shrine. This is a new system in BDO that allows players to challenge themselves against boss mobs that you can increase in difficulty for better rewards and to get a spot on the leaderboard based on your time to kill it. It's also how you can collect the materials required to craft the new ancient gear set gloves called Darn Gloves, which will replace your current boss gloves like Beg's. The new questline is also very long, so set some time aside to get this completed so you can start enjoying the new boss blitz system which resets every Sunday. You may also use the new zone to start a character, so if you fancy leveling a new character, this is a good way to kill two birds with one stone. If you fancy taking a break from all that high-octane questing, then you should check out the journal quests or challenges that you can complete. Journals can be accessed via the menu and then selecting Adventure Log. From here, there are many different journals that can be completed that give account-wide stats such as max health, APDP, accuracy, and stamina. One particular log upgrades your Agris Fever, which we'll cover off later, but I'd suggest starting with the Old Moon logs to increase the amount of Agris you can max out, and then after that move on to Egar Bartelli, as it's pretty simple. I'd suggest checking out guides for journal logs, as some of these can be pretty confusing and require some very specific items or actions to be completed. Another great piece of content that you can complete on the side is the suggested quests, which you can access by pressing O and then selecting the suggested tab. In here, you'll find large amounts of quests with many different rewards such as increased APDP, max health, and much more. A couple key ones that I'd strongly recommend doing is the tier 5 pet quest chain called Domesticated Squabbles. Please note that this will cost you around 800 mil and you need to already have a tier 4 pet, but it's totally worth doing it as the increased looting speed applies to all your pets. You can also now get family inventory, which makes certain items accessible for all your characters, such as buff foods, elixirs, and worker food. To start this quest, speak to the Black Spirit and take the quest called Family Fitting Inventory. Please note that for both of these quests, you need to be level 60 to accept them. One of the biggest struggles of BDO players in the past was getting your armor and weapons to pen. It was a long and tough task that relied heavily on RNG that could set a player back months if enhancing didn't go their way, but not anymore. Thanks to the lovely Jetina, you can now get guaranteed pens via a reformed stone enhancing system. This content is time gated and will take you at least 4 weeks per pen item, and you'll need to have Tuvalar season gear to exchange for the same boss item. Please note that this does cost a chunk of silver, and it gets more expensive each time you want to guarantee a pen on armor or a weapon. So most people use it for 1 or 2 weapon items and 2 armor items. After that point, you're better off just buying the items from the marketplace or gambling your own enhancement chance. You will need to do a little bit of setup to get these pens if you've never done world bosses before. You need to hand in 2 latent auras for the relevant piece of gear you're going after to complete the weekly quest. So you'll have to either kill world bosses to get these, or you can do scrolls or dark rifts. All of the other materials you need are purchasable off of the marketplace or directly from a vendor. Another really important thing to start doing as soon as possible is the Jettina daily quest for the guaranteed pen accessories. You can pick up a base level Crescent, Tangrad or Narc accessory from Jettina with a questline that starts with a cry for help from your Black Spirit. Once you get this accessory, you'll need to complete daily quests from Jettina to get Burning Moonlight Blackstone powder to craft a Burning Moonlight Blackstone. This guarantees an enhancement on your Jettina accessory. In total, you need 170 powders, so if you do the daily grind quest that gives you 4 powders a day, it will take you just over 40 days to get all the powder that you require. However, it's worth noting that you do also need to spend money on other materials like a lot of Blackstones and a vendor item. Realistically, you're going to spend nearly 10 billion to get this pen, but that's still pretty good for a pen Crescent ring. On that note, there isn't really much competition in terms of what item you should take. It's pen Crescent ring 9 times out of 10, and maybe in very, very niche cases you would consider a Tangrad, but this is not normal at all. A few years ago, Black Desert introduced a new grinding tool called Agris Fever. This can be activated by right-clicking the icon at the top of your screen, and when you do this, you'll receive 150% increased junk loot, which catapults the amount of silver that you can make per hour at grind spots. If you combine this with the new loot scroll system, you can easily grind out spots for more than 500 million an hour, even if you don't have very much gear. Agris has a cap that can be increased via journal entries, and you recover 20,000 points a day. So if you want to get the best use out of it, try and grind at least 1 hour a day to stop it from capping out, and this is a really solid way to make sure you're making income constantly. Season is probably the biggest change that benefits returning players that I could honestly do an entire video on, but there's already plenty out there, so I won't go into too much detail here, but a quick summary is that every few months, Black Desert starts a new season, and during this time, you can create a season character with access to special season servers that drop different enhancing gear and loot. The aim of these characters is to get yourself fully kitted out in the Tuvalar gear and accessories, all at pen level, because these enhance rates on these items are way higher than normal items, and pen Tuvalar gear can then be exchanged for Tet boss gear at an NPC after you graduate at the end of the season. Unlike seasons in other games, you do not lose your character or progress when the season comes to an end. The whole idea of seasons in BDO is to give you a chance to catch up or to try a new class. They help you out with this even more by giving you things that greatly increase your inventory space, stamina, health, and much more. This is totally worth checking out as soon as possible if there is a live season when you return to the game. For a lot of people, the end goal of Black Desert is PvP in either Sieges or Node Wars, and in the past these had extremely high entry requirements as it was down to the guilds to dictate what their gear requirements would be, as gear had such a huge impact in PvP, but that is now no longer the case. Node Wars are now split into different tiers, and each of those tiers have different caps, meaning that a tier 1 beginner Node War have a very reasonable barrier to entry. You can basically enter straight after completing your first season character if you fully geared up, and then you just need to follow a little bit of a min-maxing online guide. Being able to get back into PvP quickly is one of the main things that attracted me back to the game recently, and I'm loving doing a few Node Wars each week whilst I spend the rest of my time gearing up. As someday I would like to try Sieges again, but the gear cap for those is understandably a bit higher. If you want to see what gear you need, then open your map, click on the Node War button, and then select the tier drop down, tier 1 beginner. And in here you can see the stats against what the cap is, and that will give you something to work towards. These are just a few of the things that you can do in Black Desert upon your return, but to me, the most important thing is to find something that you enjoy doing and progress that. BDO is such a massive marathon that if you try and complete everything as fast as possible, you'll likely burn out, so it's better to just take your time and enjoy the ride. A few honorable mentions here before I finish this video in terms of things to check out are the infinite potions, which can be grinded in various spots across the world, and this will stop you from ever needing to buy potions again. The crystal rework and presets make it super quick and easy to swap between crystal setups for PvP, grinding, or leveling. And lastly, make sure you check out artifacts. This was a new item introduced a little while ago, and these give some great buffs which you can power up even more by socketing stones into them. Well, that's about it for this video, guys. I hope that you found it helpful, and if you have any questions, please leave a comment below, or feel free to drop into my Twitch chat sometime where I'll be happy to chat about all things BDO. Until next time, guys, take it easy and peace out.